Reconnecting with your partner after time apart is one of the most tricky daily tasks people in intimate relationships must navigate. I'm talking about small moments of transition, like when one person comes home from work or a solo trip, or even just time with friends. Believe it or not, it is these small daily moments when conflict is most likely to happen. Stay tuned to the end of this video because I will be teaching you a simple exercise that you can start using today that will transform moments of potential conflict into moments of connection and bonding. I will also be talking about the unique challenges that can present for queer male relationships around reconnection. Before I get into the exercise, I want to explain why this is such an important skill to master in your relationship. It all comes back to attachment science, which is the study of how we bond and connect with our caregivers as young children and our romantic partners as adults. There's a tool that researchers use to measure attachment between infants and their primary caregivers. It's called the strange situation. It was designed in the 1970s by an attachment researcher named Mary Ainsworth. Basically, the strange situation exercise would take a child and their primary caregiver and observe what happens when a stranger is introduced into the room. They observe how the child reacts to the stranger and how or if the primary caregiver is able to soothe the baby when they return. When a caregiver is able to soothe the baby, this usually involves a type of deep embrace, which creates attachment connection. Attachment researchers have translated child caregiver attachment research to adult romantic relationships. And Mary Ainsworth even conducted a study on lesbian relationships, proving that similar findings were true for queer partnerships. This is worth noting because so much research out there doesn't include queer relationships. And while there are many similarities between queer and straight folks, there are many important distinctions, as you've heard me say in many other videos. Okay, back to the problem at hand. Why are we more likely to get into conflict during periods when we reconnect and take time apart? Like the strange situation, these are moments when, on an unconscious level, we're worried about the attachment in our relationship. Will our partner come back? Will they be hurt on the way home? Will they meet someone else while they're out with their friends and like them better? Will I miss them while they're gone? Even if you're not consciously thinking these things, they're there in the mix. Add to that everyone's attachment system is slightly different, and you have a recipe for conflict or disconnection. For many of us who have been socialized as male in this culture, we are often taught that having attachment needs, like just described, makes you weak or unmanly. Boys don't cry, and men certainly can't admit they may miss their partners if they're going on a business trip for a week. That's why this exercise I'm about to teach you is a game changer. The exercise is called the Welcome Home exercise, or I often call it the hug exercise. It was developed by relationship expert Dr. Stan Tatkin, and this is something I teach most of the couples and relationship clients I work with early on in our work together, especially if they note that most of their fights happen during moments of transition. Let's take the example that one partner works from home and the other partner works from the office. The hug exercise is so simple. The person who is at home stops what they are doing when their partner comes in at the end of the day. Then you simply do a belly-to-belly bear hug. No kissing, nothing more than a belly-to-belly hug. This is important because we can co-regulate with our partners through our bellies touching. You hold this hug until you feel your partner release the tension that they are probably holding. This can take anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple of minutes. Now, don't talk during this time. This is not the moment to share about your day. Just hug silently until your nervous systems connect. This short exercise can be a game changer in your relationship, as I've said. Like any new skill, it will take practice before it feels second nature. And it may feel a bit forced at first. There's often one person who prefers to co-regulate with a partner through touch, and one person who doesn't like that as much. Differences are okay, but this is something that should be talked about and navigated together. This comes from the observations of the strange situation that I described earlier. The primary caregiver would often soothe the baby with deep touch, and words don't work on a child who is so young. We have nerves that run along the front of our body, like the ventral nerve, which is a big part of our attachment system. When we connect ventral nerve to ventral nerve, this can be a powerful way to bond with our partners. You can do this after most transitions, like when one person comes home from work or a work trip or time out with friends. This small, simple exercise will help set the tone for positive reconnection with your partner or partners. This can prevent fights, encourage connection, and build intimacy. One question I get a lot: should you use this after a fight? To start out with, I wouldn't recommend using the hug exercise as a way to reconnect after a fight. You can work up to that, but some people don't like to be touched after conflict, and their nervous systems need time to calm down. But after you've had success using this for comings and goings, feel free to give it a try after a fight and see how it goes. If you're someone who has experienced a lot of trauma, this might not be the first exercise I'd recommend for you. Touch can feel threatening or set off nervous system alarm bells if you've had a lot of trauma. As with anything, consent is key here. If it's the case for you that you've lived through a lot of trauma, it would probably be wise to speak with a mental health professional before doing any exercise like this with a partner. And if you want to try this exercise with a partner, have a conversation about it first. Lay some ground rules for how the touch will work and what you will do if one person wants out of the hug. Listen to your body and never force this. If you identify as a queer man, this might be hard for you. Like I said, we haven't always been taught to know what our attachment needs are, and we certainly haven't been taught how to ask for those needs. But experiment with this hug exercise and let me know how it goes for you in the comments below.